Before we move
Hmm.
on to the more current parts, what was it like performing poetry? Like, just like, what's that grind like?
It was beautiful. It brought me closer to God because of the way that my gigs would happen. Like I never reached out to anybody for a gig. It would just always be some beautiful spirit in the crowd that reached out to me. Someone who didn't even look like they were interested or look like they would host events. And I would just perform through the city of Fullerton at open mics. But after every show, somebody would reach out to me. Hey, I was wondering if you'd be able to do this. Wondering if you'd be able to do this. I made some money from performing poetry too. And it wasn't because I was charging. It was just donations. I love that type of crowd and energy, man. This was people who were like, look, we'll pay you to do this, do this, and do this, and do this. And it was cool, man.
Yeah, that's big. So you're saying out there, there's like this open mic circuit where if you bless with it, people are actually invested in giving money to you.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Exactly.
Oh, that's pretty dope. No, for real.
Yeah.
Like, there is not as big of a culture of people getting paid to do that kind of stuff in Montreal because we are unfortunately an extremely saturated city with lots of shit to do. So it makes the lower end of stuff more complicated. Um, Fair enough. So you go through all of that, and then how do you end up at the point? Is it where you decide that you're now going to migrate more directly into music?
Well, I guess what happened was um, my wife ended up moving from Pakistan. I got my own apartment, and we're this happy family here. We had my son a couple months after she moved here, and now I'm in my dream job. All my bills are paid. Uh, I'm thanking the Lord and thanking all my friends who got me here. Everyone that I've mentioned literally had a role in getting me to this place that I was at in 2015. So I sat back and I said, look, man, I got some extra money. Let me go ahead and buy a mic, buy a laptop, buy the isolation phone, and let me go ahead and rap. Now I can do it. There's a means for me to do it now. And from that point on, man, it's just been making music.
All right, so let's go more into detail of your making music. So how do you start making songs when you get into it? Like, what is your process like?
The process is well, it just like poetry. It has to like come to me. You know what I mean? Like if I'm in REM sleep or something like that, and something's on my head, I'll probably jot down a few words on my phone and then wake up, find a beat, or either have a producer send me a beat. Whatever way it is, I'm getting the beat because I got to get this out of my head. And then I just hit that record button, man, and spit about 4 or 5 bars, and then hit pause, and then I replay it, and then I pick up from where I left off, and then keep going. 16 bars ain't nothing, man, compared to writing a poem. Writing me poetry is a lot more complex than making a song.
How
Uh,
so?
well, in poetry, it's more showmanship, I think. Uh, Me personally, when I'm writing a poem, I might say, "Silence is golden, but the wind tells a precious tale just as well. Rocks remain still while trying to fit in, but are stepped upon and thrown afar. Their wish for companionship was never granted." You know what I mean? Like that shit right there. Like I mean that when I'm saying it. But when I'm rapping, it's just like, uh, ain't no friend of mine that could count the time they wasn't there at the times I needed them. Just me and God when I stared the devil in the face and I defeated him. Fake smile when I put some endorphins in my brain, but I depleted them. Heart inflated with rage, light the sage before I end up in the cage. It's just like it's a, it's different. I don't know. I can't
Well,
like
because to me,
huh?
like, I don't see how it's all. I mean, I know how it's different in a lot of ways, but man, if you just brought that fucking like poetry energy to the fucking beat, bro, oh my god, that would be ridiculous. I fucking listen to rappers who rap like your poetry. Like, I personally fucks with that shit. I'm like, that's the beauty of this is that like there is a huge amount of because you had said earlier you were like, I gotta sit there and figure out the writing thing. I'm like, I don't think you really gotta figure out the writing thing. You probably already
Hmm.
know how to do the writing thing. If you're dropping fucking poems off the like, you just fucking spit that shit too. Like, you had it ready to go. Like, do you have everything memorized?
Um, I have a lot of poems memorized. Yeah, I don't have any of my raps memorized, but my poems because I write my poems down. I've written them down, and I have the poems memorized. Uh, because that was a beautiful time. I wrote a lot of those poems on that 14-day vow of silence. I
Mm.
have a book that's called 14 Days of Vow to Be Heard, uh, a vow of silence to be heard. And each day I journal my experience that day. And then I have a poem that I wrote that day to sum up that day. And then in addition to a whole bunch of other stuff, man, I got a lot of poems I don't forgot about over the years. But yeah.
That's cool. How did you end up like publishing the book? What is that like getting to a point where you're gonna actually go through the part of publishing a book?
Man, really, it just took a little time, a little keyword searching to figure out how to do it on your own and how to make the most money from it. Um, I did it through Amazon, and then ultimately I got expanded distribution for independent bookstores and stuff throughout the United States. It got picked up by Barnes and Nobles. This is a play that I wrote. Uh, I wrote a play, a full length play called Stop By. It's about an artist in downtown Los Angeles named Jeremiah who had a harsh critique of one of his paintings, and then he stumbles upon an abandoned warehouse that turns out to be a lounge with a whole bunch of peculiar characters to give their take on his portrait that was critiqued so harshly. And he kind of learns, it's a feel good play. There's a lot of different characters in there. I incorporated me and my wife's email messages from when we were talking back and forth in the scene. And so it's like our very me and my wife's origin is encapsulated like in that book in the area of that play. It's a beautiful thing. Our actual messages back and forth from the day we met until I can't tell too much, but that's the book though. Yeah, that's the book I wrote. But I just published it through Amazon, man. You can figure it out. You just got to go through the steps, publish it, order a whole bunch of Arthur copies because you only pay printing costs, and then sell it at regular cost. That's how you make the money.
Yo, for real though, like as Ismail just said there, books, plays, poetry, and rapping. It's a pretty impressive repertoire so far. But I also like the fact that you took the time to learn how to make the most profits off of it. I assume there's multiple ways to go about this Amazon game.
KDP. If anybody out there wants to publish your own book, just type in KDP and then Amazon, hit enter, and then they'll tell you the steps. It's dope. There's hundreds of people out there with a manuscript, but they don't have nobody to let them know how to get that manuscript out, man. And so thanks for having the platform for me to let anybody who's watching know. It's KDP and then Amazon. Search that. Mark my words, man. You'll love me for it. You'll go ahead and just publish your book, man. Hard copy too.
Yeah, that's dope. Still, do you sell a lot of books?
When I'm marketing them, yeah. When I no, when I'm marketing the books, I can slang those books. But when I'm not, nah. I
No,
just
but
had
that's
I got
also important. And I bring that up because, without naming names, I had a friend who went down the route, self published some books, didn't really market them very well, and was under the impression it would be a little easier to sell books on Amazon. But it is worth pointing out that if you are going to go down that grind, it is still a grind to make sure that you sign those books after. It's not just going to like happen because you hit publish.
exactly. It's just like anything, man. You get the work for cheap and you sell it for high and you make your profit. But with me, it's a little different because, I was not only selling the work and getting profit, but my market was very like niche because it was people who wanted to know how to write books and people who were inspired by me. Just keyword, they thought I didn't figure anything out. I just found out how to do it. And So, I was walking people through how to do it. After, they're buying my book. I'm walking them through how to do it. It was beautiful, man. It was a great relationship.
Mm. Yo, we got another question with related to this Amazon books. Yo, people love the business shit, dude. Business shit's hot. Um, so have you ever done the paid Amazon to put sponsored posts for your book? And if
No,
so,
no,
was it
I haven't done any ads. I did one IG ad, and if it would have been successful, I would have gotten charged a lot more than what was in my budget. And like, it was just a bad experience. It left a bad taste in my mouth. But that's definitely the way to go,
yo?
man.
That is a big statement, though. If it had been successful, it would have gone way over my budget.
Yeah, way over my budget. And there was nothing I could do about it. The money would have just came from my account, and I would have got charged that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
ridiculous amount.
yeah. Sponsored ads is not a cheap game. I tell everybody the same thing. If you can't afford to put up like at least four figures a
Hmm.
month,
Yeah,
don't even start.
yeah.